Katsu curry, one of my absolute store cupboard favourites. We've asked a few friends to try this recipe. These are their thoughts. Hello all you happy plant power people, welcome back to the Cuckoo Kitchen. It's been a while since we posted some content, but this is the first of a new season of great recipes that I want to share with you. Question for you, do you call yourselves vegan, flexitarian, vegetarian? How do you describe the way that you eat? Please let me know in the comments below. Fresh ingredients are your favourite brand of firm tofu, 3 carrots, we're going to need 2 cloves of garlic, a thumb-sized piece of ginger, and an onion. And from your store cupboard, you're going to need some turmeric, garlic powder, a Madras curry powder, or mild medium curry powder, some garam masala, some salt, some agave syrup or maple syrup, some powdered vegetable stock, some oil for frying, and soy sauce. Now we're going to finally chop the garlic. We want around 2 tablespoons of oil in the pan. To that we add our chopped onions and smashed garlic. Let's let those simmer for a moment. Bring it up to a high heat and then we'll turn it down a bit when it starts to fry. Now we want to fry the onions until there's just a bit of colour beginning to come through. And now it's time to add the spices. Some medium curry powder, I'm using a Madras. This could be anything that, as long as it's not a vindaloo or anything too spicy and red. Unless you like it that way, it might be nice. But the katsu traditionally isn't a hot curry, there's no chilli in this. We need 4 teaspoons of Madras powder. We're also going to add some garam masala. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of this. Okay, that's all the spicing done. When adding spices, it's always a good idea to do it in the frying stage. There seems to be something about the hot oil that draws the aromatics out of the spices. That's beginning to look good. It's beginning to smell great too. Now we need to add our carrots, which is actually what's going to form the bedrock and the body of this sauce. So let's grate these up. That was about enough. Go back to check on our spices. They're looking nice, nothing stuck to the bottom. If something had started sticking, then a little bit of water added right now will just release that. But let's add our chopped carrot. We're cooking for 4 here. So I'm adding about 2½ handfuls of chopped carrot. Let's stir that around. To thicken our sauce slightly, we need to add 1 tablespoon of plain flour while the carrots and the spices are cooking. So this is before we add the water. If you do it afterwards, it gets all lumpy and it's harder to blend out. So sprinkle that in, pop that back on the shelf, and let's stir that flour in. Okay, as you can see, it's just blending in nicely. Now to the onions and garlic, we're going to add a thumb-sized piece of ginger. How big is your thumb? I've always thought that's a bit of an odd measurement, but we're looking for something about that big. Let's grate it up, and it's quite stringy, so you'll find you'll get a bit of stuff left at the end. So we'll just run our chopping knife over that before it goes into the pot. So all of our ingredients are cooked through now, and now we're going to add 2 ingredients which are going to make this distinctively katsu. Up to this point, this could almost be an Indian curry, because we've just got our vegetable base, garlic, ginger and spices. But now we're going to add something distinctly Asian. Some soy sauce and some sweetener. And I'm using a agave syrup. You could use maple syrup or a little bit of sugar, but don't go crazy because we don't want it to be too sweet. First of all, we need 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. Stir that around. Now things are starting to darken a bit. And then we're going to add just a teaspoon of the agave syrup. Okay, that goes in like that. Now I've made up 300 millilitres of vegetable stock according to the recipe on the packet. I'm going to add this in. Now because we've already got flour in there, which has warmed through, and the gluten bubbles inside that have burst, we're now going to be ready for it to start to thicken. So we're going to let this cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. So already we can see that this is beginning to thicken up nicely. And I'm going to add just a little bit of turmeric, about 1/4 teaspoon, just to give it a nice warm yellow colour. For the next stage, you need an immersion blender, or alternatively, you could let the sauce cool down and you could tip it into a blender or food processor. But I find one of these to be really quick, and even the cheap ones work really well. So let's pop this in and just pulse it a bit so it doesn't fly out. And there we are starting to get our katsu sauce appearing. You want to blend this quite well. We don't want lumps in it really. And that looks good. Let's add a good pinch of salt. Let's have a little taste. And blend that up again. And taste again. Always best to go in small increments. Salt is really difficult to take out once it's in. Yeah, that's good, that's perfect. Okay, so now we can put our sauce to one side. We're going to make our tofu katsus, but they're super simple, so I'm going to show you how to make them. So I'm using a brand of tofu which is sold widely across the UK. And they have done something really clever, which is they have made a tofu which doesn't need draining. Let's get this tofu out. So say we don't need to drain it. So we're going to slice it up into finger-sized portions and then coat it in a savoury cornflour mix, which I'm going to make first of all. Let our tofu stand for a moment. So I'm going to take a cup of cornflour, really useful kitchen essential for any kinds of savoury coating. I have got a wok which is half full of oil, which is just starting to smoke, so I'm going to turn that down. Stick it on number 5 on my coating. So there we have a cup of cornflour, and to this I'm going to add a tablespoon of vegetable stock. And this is my own secret recipe, and this makes tofu taste super tasty. If you've been thinking, oh, tofu doesn't taste of anything, do this, fry it, and you will be just amazed how delicious it is. You can keep your chicken. Even if I did eat it, I wouldn't eat it again. Right, so that goes in there, and to this I'm going to add some garlic powder. If you don't have any, it doesn't matter, this is still super tasty. And I'm going to add half a teaspoon. Okay, whenever you're blending dry ingredients and mixing them, do it before you add any liquid or anything else. It makes it much easier to blend. And we're just going to add a pinch of salt to this as well. Okay, and that is our super easy cheat katsu coating. Let's divide this into bite-sized pieces. Probably going to put about 4 slices of the tofu onto each dish. Let's just stack them all up and do this in one cut. Okay, there we go. There's all our little tofu katsus ready to be coated. So we've got our savoury cornflour. This oil is plenty hot enough. The oil's cooled down now, so let's get our katsus ready. So I'm going to do about half at a time, and I'm going to drop them into the seasoned cornflour and just mix them around. We're going to get a nice even coating here, and this should be enough to cook a whole batch in one go. Okay, and we're going to pop these in. And that's about as much as my wok can handle. They don't need to go brown for any flavour reason, but it often looks nice. So I'm just going to ramp the heat up and just give them a minute cooking away. Our katsus have been cooking for about 4 or 5 minutes now, and as you can see, they're just starting to get a bit of colour, and that's just about right for me. So I've got some kitchen towel, and we're just going to bring those out and let them drain for a minute. Now I've only cooked up half the tofu here, so we're only going to make 2 dishes. Now, as I say, this is super versatile. At this point, you could just chop this up and put it into a salad, mix it up, a bit of vegan mayonnaise. We've got a great recipe for that. Our tofu is ready. We're just going to warm our sauce up on the hob quickly. And while we're doing that, I am going to get some rice from my rice cooker. So let's dish up.
Simplicity.
And I normally allow 4 pieces of tofu per person, but as we're just dishing smaller bowls today, I'm just going to do 3.
Simplicity.
And then we just take our sauce, just spoon it across like that. That looks good. I always put twice as much sauce as I think I'm going to want, because I always want more. That's looking good. It's nice to be able to see a little bit of the tofu though. And that is delicious katsu tofu, made in about 20 minutes, about the time it took for our rice to cook. I hope you had fun making this, and I hope you get a few pointers for some other good tips like the way we did our tofu from this video. Come back next time, but please subscribe to the channel, it means so much.